What's up guys, this is Erkin from HDD Recovery Services. Today it's a special episode. SanDisk Cruiser flash drives that have older controller types that are just simply no good for chip-off recovery. Now, the chip-off recovery that I'm referring to is when we take memory, remove it from the PCB, read it using a specialized reader device, and convert what's inside of that memory into a raw binary data file. Then that binary data file needs to be manipulated, and we have to create a structure out of it, replicate what a physical controller will do to a physical memory component, but in the form of software. I found a case that I recently found a solution for myself that I deemed as non-recoverable back in January of this year. So what I have in my hand is a flash drive. It's a SanDisk Cruiser, and I've done a video exactly like this before, but I want to make it in more detail so you guys can see that this thing works. So this is our board. Okay, first thing I really want you to pay attention to is this part number here. This is a SanDisk with a 208200-162-1 controller. This controller does have complex SOAR, so recovering data directly from the NAND, which is right here, this chip right here, is going to be a real pain, if it's possible even. I haven't tackled anything like that personally. So let's have a look at the aftermath. Okay, this is serious damage to this board, and you know, I don't know exactly why certain things were done and the way they were, but here's what we're dealing with. Okay, I'll start from the basics. First things first, it seems like this pad, which is supposed to be going to the controller, was soldered up to the ground. Okay, this pad is missing completely. And the trace goes all the way to the controller and disappears there. Up here we also have some soldering work done. In here we got a ground. That's probably the best one. And up here looks like the power was actually soldered up to the ground, because you can see that this is on the same plane, and it was supposed to be going to this capacitor here. Instead it went to the plane around it, and yeah, the device didn't get any power. Then we have a missing component number 1, we have a missing component number 2, and this we already mentioned. All you need to have is just an identical board, which I definitely have. So it's 162-3. What about the board? The board, my friends, is the same board. So here we go. We're gonna use this device, and we're gonna take out the controller, place it here. We're gonna take out this memory component, take this one out and place it here. The controllers are different, so if I was to remove the memory from the donor and put a patient's memory on top of it, because the part numbers on controllers don't match, they're not going to work in the exact same way. You guys can see that this is ending with a 3, this one ends with 1. This is going to be a crucial difference in determining whether or not this unit is going to work. This device here, I'll plug it in just to make sure that we get the LED to show up and the drive mounts, because I don't want to do this to a flash drive that doesn't work. Although looking at this here, I'm going to say most likely it's functional, because it seems like we've done the repair on the connector before, which is pretty standard procedure. Well, it's definitely working, and I can see that it mounts. That's all I care about. I'm gonna put, let's say I'm gonna put a minus on these, I'm gonna put a plus on these. Now I'm just gonna do the same thing but for this device, and then it's a blend time. I'm pretty happy with how it landed. You just gotta maybe add a little bit of solder on the pads, but other than that, it looks good. The alignment is pretty good, and just gonna dump some solder on both sides to lock the chip in. Let's zoom in and just inspect this side. Looks pretty good to me on this end. Flip it upside down. Looks pretty amazing here. Now what do we have here for the controller rework? Looks fairly clean as it is, but I'm just gonna run through it real quick again. That's it. Alright, now we're good. And action. When I just called the customer, she literally had no clue that this will ever happen, and she was extremely pleased. I am glad that this technique started to work so great, because I used to rely on my inventory for these swaps, because in the past, to do this kind of procedure by taking the memory and using a functional board, I had to have an exact same donor with exact same controller, which can be very difficult. As you guys saw, that one digit at the end can make it or break it, but it's definitely not programmed in the exact same way, so the data inside is not shuffled in the exact same way. So putting that customer's data chip on the donor without having the exact same mechanism to operate that memory would be a disaster. This specific procedure that I just demonstrated opens up a whole new level of opportunities to get this data recovered, because no longer I need to have an exact same controller. With that being said, thank you very much for watching this episode. I'll see you in the next one. If you liked it, hit like. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. And if you're interested in data recovery and don't want to miss the next episode, hit that bell button for notifications. I'll let you know when the next video is out. See you next time.